The final score: Wrexham 1, Cardiff City 6. Ouch. And let me say, firstly, there was no question that Cardiff were worth the win, but it wasn't a 6-1 game. There was a lot of positives to take from this. Watching Steve Dale's interview after the match, he looked a little embarrassed to be trying to say we lost 6-1, but actually I'm quite happy about a lot of what we did. But he's right. He was absolutely right. This was a good competitive performance. We caused Cardiff some issues. And like I say, I reiterate, Cardiff were the better team. But we caused them problems. And it could have turned out differently. I have to say it as well. The key element, really, unfortunately, was that Del Morgan couldn't play in this game. Charlotte Bolland came in and she had a difficult time with it. There's no point in pretending otherwise. And it was a shame for her. Three of the goals really were preventable. But we've got to remember she is a young girl. She is developing her experience. She's developing her technique. She did some good things as well. And we need to look at that. Cardiff were very good. Chances are we'd have lost anyway. Let's not get harsh on Bolland, who, like I said, did some very good work as well. Showed a lot of spirit in the way that she bounced back to actually make some good stops and some good decisive decisions. But having said that, yeah, Cardiff were impressive. Some of their players were of such a high level. They played three at the back, and their back three were all terrific. Power on the right, Walsh in the middle, the captain coming back from injury, and on the left-hand side, Holly Smith, who was absolutely outstanding. And as you'll hear in a minute when I go through the key incidents, there were so many great tackles by Cardiff players in last-ditch situations. They were brilliant. But then Price started at left wing back, was subdued, moved to the right, and was absolutely magnificent in the quality and quantity of crosses that she was working in, and goals would come from them. In midfield, Watkins particularly was magnificent, covered every blade of grass, made great defensive interventions, made intelligent, creative interventions, went wide and got crosses in. These were a quality side. And then Keogh up front is a good player. Oakley drifting around is intelligent, sharp, and contributed a fine goal. Yeah, you sometimes you just have to take your hat off and say, fair enough, they're very, very good. But Wrexham had an interesting approach to this. We played a slightly different shape to normal. Three at the back, which we often do against the strong teams. I think the idea is it gives us that little bit more insurance. But a front three. Cairns to the right, Lightfoot to the left. It's not unusual to see Lightfoot playing on the left-hand side, obviously in an attacking position. Cairns was interesting. And she, I think, was there in many ways, not so much as an attacking right-sided player, but as a player who would help to carry out the press, which we did really, really well. So it's similar in some ways to how the men's team often press, except the three doing it with a front three rather than a front two and a midfielder joining in on whichever side the ball's on. But basically, Cairns would put pressure on Smith, the left-sided centre-back. Then Lightfoot would put pressure on Power, the right-sided centre-back. Hughes would do the sort of Bobby Firmino role of more blocking the passing channels for Walsh. So it was difficult for her to play it out herself. So Wrexham were really making it hard for that back three to pass their way out. And Cardiff made a lot of mistakes because of that pressure, which could have led to something. Having said that, it was a good bit of pressure by Cardiff, actually, which led to the first chance of the game. Karen Allen trying to play the ball out from the back with a straight pass intercepted by Watkins. She fed it inside to Keogh on a left channel, and she did really well to cut inside and get past Fuller. But Allen recovered with a magnificent tackle to repel the danger. And then soon afterwards, again, that pressure from Wrexham creating a chance. The goalkeeper Chamberlain with a poor kick. Lily Jones fed the ball in. They picked the ball up and I mean driving through the middle, and it looked for a moment like he was just going to run through unhindered and score. But Lightfoot had taken up a central position. Her marker had come with her, and they were a little bit in Lily Jones's way, I think. So by the time Jones managed to negotiate her way past them, Banyan, who tracked Jones's run brilliantly, was able to slide in and make a goal-saving tackle about 8 yards out. Wrexham continued to put some pressure on, though. Lightfoot feeding it into Lily Jones again, who has a powerful, typically powerful strike, but it was too straight and held by the keeper, Chamberlain. And in the 10th minute, Wrexham with a lovely little move. Hughes on the turn, clipping the ball forwards. Lily Jones feeding an excellent through ball for Lightfoot. And this time it was the other centre midfielder, Watkins, who did superbly to track Lightfoot's run and make again a goal-saving tackle. It wasn't just a goal-saving tackle because 22 seconds later, the ball was in Wrexham's net. On such little moments, games will turn, and sides of the quality of Cardiff tend to make those key moments turn in their favour. It was a interception on the edge of the Cardiff penalty area. The ball fed forwards to Oakley. 3 players forwards in a breakaway, and they worked it beautifully. Oakley carried the ball down the right, then switched across to the left because Keogh had a bit of space. Defenders drew across to her. She fed it straight back across to Oakley, and Oakley had lots of space on the right-hand side in time, drove it into the goal mouth, and Colley was there to apply the finish from close range. Now, last Sunday, Wrexham had gone behind at Swansea and responded straight away. And again, we did. I mean, the spirit Wrexham showed was very impressive. We won a corner. The ball was swept into the box by Lily Jones. Chamberlain came but fumbled it. There was an almighty scramble, a couple of shots blocked. And it just looked like one of those situations where you're not going to score. There's too many bodies standing in the goal mouth. But after the Lightfoot shot was cleared off the line, it ricocheted to Fuller, who back to goal, was pushed in the back. I think it was Keogh, and went to the ground. Referee gave a penalty. There was a long wait before Rosie Hughes could take the penalty while Chamberlain was treated, but she stuttered up and then drove it down the middle, Chamberlain diving to her right. And Wrexham were level. Again, an admirable fight back. And then, unfortunately, so cruel this, 4 minutes after that equaliser, unavoidable goal. And I think this really hit Wrexham pretty hard, in all honesty. A free kick on pretty much on the halfway on the left-hand side. I've got to say a bit of a soft free kick, but there's no point in trying to make a complaint about it. We should have dealt with it better. Price launched it in the goal mouth, but put too much on it. But Bolland hesitated to come for it. Phoebe Davis stepped in intelligently to try and protect Bolland as Oakley tried to get on the end of the ball, and she did block her off. But Bolland starts to come and then hesitated again, fatally this time. And Oakley was able, because she's taller than Davis, to just reach over her and head the ball past the stranded keeper. It was a horrible moment for Bolland, let's be honest, and a real disappointment for Wrexham. And we did just stumble a little bit and could have gone further behind. A corner swept in by Watkins. Bolland came for it but couldn't reach. And at the far post, well, at the time I thought that Smith in front of an open goal hit the post. Looking at the replays again, I actually think the corner swerved in and the corner hit the far post and just about evaded Smith. But it was a really lucky let-off. Now, having said that, huge credit to Bolland because minutes later, she made an excellent save. Owen down the right-hand side, tearing in the perfect cross, sort of ball that the keeper wants to come for, but you're not necessarily going to get there. It was attacked as well in the middle by Colley, but Bolland did brilliantly to get across, get there centimetres before Colley, and also parry it down and grab the ball so it didn't come away from her. It was a really, really aggressive piece of goalkeeping and excellent. And Wrexham started to gain a bit of confidence and finished the half decently. Davis, with a brilliant burst down the left-hand side, went past Power, which is no mean feat, managed to poke a square pass as she was at high speed to Lightfoot, and she spanned brilliantly and ripped a great shot from about 15 yards out, which just went past the right-hand post. An excellent effort. Wrexham starting again to get their rhythm going, but the last chance of the half came to Cardiff. Again, Watkins involved, feeding the ball in. Bolland stretching, might just have got a touch. If she did, it probably saved the goal. As it dropped for Keogh, who just couldn't quite reach it at the far post, and it went behind. The restart, Wrexham only 2-1 down, obviously realising that it was key we started strongly, but Cardiff did get a decent rhythm going from the beginning. It took them 9 minutes to score, but they managed it in the end. They boxed Wrexham in by our right corner flag, and eventually it was intercepted. Owen feeding it inside, and Keogh just did well facing a centre-back, just to shift it a bit onto her right foot and just make the angle for a shot. Drove it in. It was fairly straightish. Bolland, though, I think, unsighted by the defender, and it went through her to be 3-1. One of those awkward ones that come at the sort of ankle height just past your foot. And it's one of those where you're not quite sure whether to go for your foot or your hand. And those can creep in as this one did. Cardiff then, again, started to really threaten to take the game a long way away from Wrexham. By now, they'd made substitutions and Price was on the rise and she was spectacular. In fact, on the hour, she sprinted down the right-hand side, outpaced Phoebe Davis, and then, and I don't expect to say this very often, skinned Davis when Davis recovers. Brilliant play. Fed it back in. A good chance for Keogh, who hit it well from 15 yards out, but a good block in the centre of the goal. Then an excellent break by Wrexham. Hughes, lovely little flick on, finding Lightfoot, who was driving forwards. But again, just as she was hitting her shot, Smith came from nowhere. Wrexham had taken the other two centre-backs out of play with the swift movement and swift passing, and Smith was able to make it a brilliant, brilliant tackle. The ball went straight up the other end. Again, Price causing problems, hoisting the ball high into the goalmouth. Bolland couldn't hang on to it, and Colley made contact with a header. It was incredible what happened next. Far post header, close range. Colley thought she'd scored, but Fuller somehow managed to get across and very coolly, instead of just clearing it, controlled it with her forehead just to cushion it forwards. The ball was almost across the line and then played the ball out. Brilliant defending by Fuller. A real treat. Wrexham had to make changes and did so. Interestingly, Rosie Hughes given a rest, Suckley brought on, and Lovett's coming on for Fuller. But I've got to say, there's some good news for Wrexham. Fuller making her way back from a serious injury. Thus far has only played 45 minutes for us. She managed 70, and it'll be brilliant if Wrexham can actually have her services for the full 90 minutes by the end of the season. Anyway, Wrexham initially, after the substitution, kept pushing on to find a way back in the game. A great long ball by Lily Jones, a 2-on-1 breakaway. Lightfoot helping it on to Cairns in the channel, but Chamberlain came really quickly off and was able to beat her to it. And a couple of minutes later, it was 4-1, but it's got to be said, an absolutely brilliant goal by Cardiff. The ball picked up by Allen in the Wrexham box, but a clearance charged down. It fell kindly to Oakley, who was running at the keeper, and hit a beautiful lofted volley over the stranded Bolland, who could do nothing about it. It looped into the top right corner, a superb goal, and now Wrexham knew that game was pretty much gone. It certainly was in the 82nd minute when the fifth went in, ball down the line by Watkins, swept in under the bar, and unfortunately poor Bolland spilled it. Colley able to finish emphatically from about a yard out. By now, Wrexham were looking tired and a little bit bedraggled. Pritchard was tackled well. Oakley one-on-one with Bolland, who stood up really well and made an excellent parry to deny them the goal. But a minute later, the ball was in her net again. Price this time pinging the ball into the goalmouth. Again, Bolland didn't deal with it and it dropped for Colley, who headed it in from close range. It could have got even worse, in all honesty, because there were a couple of chances in the 90th minute for Cardiff. A free kick played into the box. Colley tried to get there. Well, got there first, but Bolland was really quick off her line, made it different for Colley. She had to lift her over her first time, and she put it over the top onto the roof of the net. So good goalkeeping there from Bolland. And then Oakley turning really well and hitting a shot. And again, Bolland, down to her right, was able to hold on to it. So 6-1. Like I say, I'm not arguing that Cardiff are a very good team. It's a shame we conceded goals in the way we did, because we were challenging them. We were making it difficult for them to play out from the back and difficult for them to get their rhythm going. In the second half, they did press the accelerator a bit as well, to be fair. But yeah, unfortunate, but lots of positive signs. Looking through the performances, well, I've said about Bolland, all I can say is all goalkeepers will have a day like that, without question. And it's important for her to just understand that. That's gone now. Can't be helped. You put it behind you. Worrying about what happened in the past isn't going to make you any better. Learning from it and just working on little issues will definitely make it better. So, she's a goalkeeper with a big future, and she just mustn't allow things like this to upset her, if I'm honest with you. I'd say that to any goalkeeper. And some of the saves she made were very good. So she needs to hold on to that and remember that against the best team in the country. The centre backs, I thought Fuller was excellent. She really did well in the centre of the back three. She is a quality player, calm on the ball, strong in the tackle, reads the game well, moves over the ground really well. Allen, it's in the back three, releasing her into one of the wider positions allows us to drive forwards, and she was really trying to take the game to Cardiff. Made a couple of excellent goal-saving tackles or chance-stopping tackles at least. And on the left-hand side as well, Phoebe Davis played very, very well, especially in the first half. Price gave her problems, but I think to be fair, Price would give anybody problems. She's an excellent wing back. Um, so yeah, Davis also a redoubtable performance. The wing backs, I mean, Cara Jones is not a wing back really, but she's got terrific energy. Late on, like I said, when Price went over that side of the pitch, that she troubled her as well. But Jones put in the usual admirable shift, and there weren't any real defensive issues until Aquila Price's quality came along. On the right hand side, Wrexham used Rebecca Pritchards, and again she defended well. Would have liked to have got forward a bit more, but the way the game went didn't allow it. Although in the early stages, she was getting quite high up the pitch and pushing Price, who was on her side, then back. Price didn't really trouble her at all. But it was when Price was on the right and she's a right footer that she really caused the issues. In the centre of midfield, we had the double pivot. Lily Jones, lot of energy, lot of heart, battled away, had to drop into the back three at the end as Wrexham made changes. But yeah, typical Lily, a lot of progressive passing, shots from distance as well, really trying to make something happen and battling in midfield against some very high quality midfielders. She stood up to the challenge well. Maddie Gibbard, rather, I thought came into the game more in the second half, perhaps. Some of her passing a little off in the first, but in the second half, I was impressed with the way that she stuck the pace when Cardiff were looking really sharp and trying to take the game on. And I thought she did some good work trying to hoover things up on the edge of her area. That front three, Lightfoot was terrific in the first half again and didn't get as much service in the second, but she was a threat. Some of her footwork was a delight to behold. I'd make her the player of the match. She was threatening, she was taking players on, and she did a job in the pressing very well. On the other side, Cairns also played a good role in that press. Wasn't able to really fashion any chances, but certainly, like I said, in a tactical role, she carried out her role very well. And I thought Rosie Hughes looked good again. I hope she's okay. I say, keep bringing off 20 minutes to go. I wasn't, I was a bit concerned by that, but yeah, she looked lively. She looked sharp. She took and scored the penalty, and it was a little bit like the Wrexham men's game the day before with Mullin. Just wanted a few more chances to fall her way, but yeah, it was a solid all-round performance. Annie Small came on to make her home debut, and she looked very neat on the ball as well. So that was a pleasing sign. Libby McKenzie came on and was buzzing around quite well in that right channel in the latter stages of the match. So it was interesting to see that. Erin Lovett came on when the defence was looking quite stretched, and she did all right, which is probably as much as you're going to hope for in that situation because they were really starting to get at us by that point. And Ava Suckley as well, again, got really, well, I was going to say got stuck in up front. Well, she got another yellow card. She does that from the bench. She's had a red from the cards as well this season, from the bench this season too. But she showed a lot of heart. She held the ball up well too. And I think she's a real proper prospect. Shame that. But don't look at the scoreline. Look at the fact that we are still being competitive with them and that Steve Dale's game plan had a lot going for it and there was a really good execution of it. Plenty of positives to take from this. So let's just move on. Win the next game, eh? At the racecourse next game. Wow, what an occasion that will be. Wrexham against Swansea. Be there. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.